Trust you've been keeping happy, well, healthy, and content. And if that is the case, shall we put an end to that right now?
No!
Baking with beef.
Sound the alarm.
This is a really bad idea.
God, why would you eat it on stop?
Oh, it's foaming.
Oh no, it's foaming. It's foaming.
That hit me in the back of the throat. Cow.
I knew he was gonna make the face. There was no way this was gonna be an ear perker.
Behold the beef sugar plums and weep.
No, that ear perked up. That ear perked up. Are you okay? Blink if you need help. Now we're gonna watch Dylan make some delectable food. Let's go.
Back to the kitchen, might I say. It is so good to see you again, and I trust you've been keeping happy, well, healthy, and content. And if that is the case, shall we put an end to that right now?
No, don't do it,
Dylan. We're all
Dylan.
here today to talk about one of the most outlandish cookbooks I've had the pleasure to plaster my peepers upon as of late, and it's
Plaster my peepers
from
upon.
1981. Now, from the outside,
Say that like 5 times fast. Plaster my peepers upon, plaster my peepers upon, plaster my peepers on. Blech.
you may be able to tell that it is a bona fide, down-home, good old-fashioned community cookbook, my favorite, with hallmark comb binding, diminutive size, and delightful front cover. And you might ask, Dylan, what is on the front cover? Why, it is the Sheridan County Cowbells all-beef cookbook from the great state of Wyoming. And I do want you to ponder on that phrase, all beef, as you
I'm already dreading it. For those of you who don't know, I know about all beef cookbooks. Oh,
think
God.
about what usually falls in the last chapter of most cookbooks. Now back to Wyoming. Sheridan County lies way up in the frosty north of the state, just bordering Montana. The whole county has about 30,000 people, and it's home to the town of Sheridan. And it's about as Wyoming and western of a town you can find. As noted by all these family cattle brands you can see here forming a border. America may be too young a nation to have family crests and coats of arms, but you can think of cattle brands as an iconographic equivalent. And indeed, if we open up the book to the Our History section, you can see down here all the family cattle brands of the families of the
That would definitely be true. It's about
founders. They are
equivalent.
a chapter of the Wyoming Cowbells, founded in the town of Lander in the year 1940, and it's an organization dedicated to one thing: furthering the beef industry. And you can glean as much from the front cover, where it ordains the command to eat beef. They believe the livestock industry is of basic importance to world existence, and that's a quote I pulled directly from their website because they still exist to promote all things cow and cow adjacent and cow related. In '92, they changed their name to the Wyoming Cattle Women, and they continue to operate and confer and meet with the Wyoming Beef Council et al. And you're free to check out their webpage to learn more, because I'm certainly not doing them any justice, but enough
Silly
when you
bean.
say, get to the book! Now, the
Get to the
Wyoming all-beef
book,
cookbook may
Dylan.
not seem that egregious to you until I introduce you to the table of contents, where beneath the headings of all things savory, we get to the chapter Baking with Beef. Sound the alarm! And
sound the alarm.
I'm afraid it's just as we feared, because the cowbells took their mission at face value and implored you to insert literal beef into your desserts and sweets. And I'm not talking about suet and tallow. I'm talking about ground and roast beef in your cookies, candies, cakes, and breads. What a
Beef cookie. Ayo.
fever dream, yet we lie awake. So strap yourselves in and get comfy, because we gonna be making 4 of these recipes in the name of that which we do best: exploration into yesteryear's acts of culinary warfare. So our chapter opens with a proclamation: add a little protein to your desserts with the addition of ground beef. Tasty and nutritious. And you can see the elevating absurdity with wonders like beef bread, beef nut bread, beef cranberry fruit nut bread. Anyway, we'll be starting with the middle.
I'm out of here. Don't go, Salt. Don't let me suffer alone.
One, the plain beef nut bread. Partly because the cranberry one asks for fresh cranberries, and it simply isn't the season. We dodged a bullet with that one. We're going to be starting with our dry ingredients.
We dodged a bullet with that one.
2 cups of flour, with our leavening being 3 teaspoons of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda. We got a ½ teaspoon of salt in there, and they're actually counting the ½ cup of sugar here as a dry ingredient, even though we bakers typically see sugar as a wet ingredient. And once that's all together, we're to stir in some walnuts, which is essentially flouring our nuts. Ooh, better than deflouring, but that's an old wives' tale that decrees that floured nuts do not sink. They said the same about the Titanic. So the premise will be to combine the dry ingredients and then separately mix together the beefy, wet ingredients and bring the two together in matrimony. Let's 3-heat the oven to pre-50 and begin. 2 cups of flour, here we go. I hope you guys been baking, you've been keeping well and doing all the good things. 1,
Doing all the good things.
2. Now for the leavening with 3 teaspoons of baking powder. That's a lot of floof powder.
That's a
Now
lot
we're
of
going
floof
for a further
powder.
teaspoon of baking soda, which is going to be way too much for my altitude. I'm at 72.20 feet, so I'm going to cut that in half and only use a half teaspoon of baking soda. Bob's your uncle. And in goes the salt and the half cup of sugar. I'm simply trying to ignore what's coming down the line. Chopping up our walnuts with a perfectly normal implement. Don't judge me, I do what I want. We're literally making beef bread. I fear I've chopped too many nuts, but in they go. Does this stop them from settling to the bottom? No, not at all. All you're getting is dusty nuts. If you want that, go to town. And now we need
Go to town.
beef. Oh dear. Does this got the beef diaper? Oh, we got the beef diaper. Oh, we need a half pound of this, which is a lot. You know, as a baker, I thought I could avoid this, but I guess not. In goes a cup of buttermilk. As I always say, if you don't have buttermilk, you can always go to the store. Okay, so Miss Ann Coakley, my
You can
food
always
nutrition
go to the
teacher at
store.
Work Academy Bermuda, where I went to school and where I grew up, impressed upon me that you must always read liquids on the counter at eye level. Meaning, get down on your knees and read this dead on. The thinking is, if you pick this up and read it, it's gonna change depending on the angle where your eyes meet. So just, pop that down. It's just right onto the beef. As you can see, it's doing just about what you'd expect, being disgusting. Just some pink nondescript soured meat juice for your amusement. We gotta melt 3 tablespoons of margarine. I no longer melt this in butter in the microwave. I can't stand it. It always pops and explodes and it gets out of the vessel no matter how low a power mode or how infrequently or frequently I do it. I don't know if you've got any tips, but it hates me, so I'm just doing this on the stove. Fire! Now that it's melted, we just stir it in, followed by a teaspoon of vanilla extract, to the beef. Everyone loves vanilla beef. This is a really bad idea.
I'm just dying.
This is partly a baking soda and acid reaction. Once we mix the dry with the wet, we need to act kind of fast because you're producing gas and you're going to want to get that in the oven. So I recommend, if you're baking this, I recommend you have your 9x5 loaf pan ready, greased, and I'm using a parchment sling because there's literally no reason not to. It guards against sticking, especially in a dark pan. So we're going to put 1 and 1 together to make 2, hopefully not summon something, and throw her in the oven. Oh dear.
Wyoming's off the bucket list.
Wyoming's off the bucket list?
Heavy batter. On account of the cow, it moves with a sort of sentience, and it goes on the middle rack, 350 degrees for 40 to 50 minutes. Now, as this is baking, I'm getting a bit of deja vu. Way back to the dark ages of August of 2020, when I recorded and uploaded the first recipe ever. That was the pork cake, some of you may remember. Which was a spiced,
I remember that.
molassesy fruit cake with some quantity of ground pork in it. It exploded, and I've been doing this ever since. I baked the pork cake with Jay Leno and Kelly Clarkson on the Kelly Clarkson Show. Crazy. But if we're speaking about why this recipe is so strange, it's because there's a precedent for pig, right? There's a precedent for pork fat in baked goods, not beef. And you say, Dylan, why? Well, it's because ground pork is not that far off of lard, my nemesis. In times of strife, if you didn't have shortening, lard, butter, you could appreciably approximate lard by using ground pork, right? It's fatty, it sort of melts into the background in the oven, gets overtaken by spices, and that's all right. Strange? Sure. I described the pork cake as tasting like a question mark. Beef does not do that. Beef is what I would call robust. It does not blend into the background. It stays where it is, definitively in the realm of savory, which is why if we're trying to use beef fat in baking, you use suet. Okay, what's suet? Suet is raw cow fat, specifically fat from the organs, the kidneys, I believe. And that stuff is prized and used in baking and mincemeat because it does not have the same beefy, savory flavors as fat from the rest of the cow, like the gristle on your ribeye. Okay, so you take that suet, that raw fat, you heat it up, you clarify it, you strain it. What is that? Rendering. And you get tallow. Rendered suet is tallow, which is great in baking and cooking, and for some inexplicable reason.
Yeah, tallow is used a lot in baking.
But that's another matter entirely. When you render pork fat, fat from anywhere on the pig, you get lard. So it's all about the fats, just like it was in 1915. Didn't have lard? Go ahead and use ground pork. That's why this recipe is so insane, because it has nothing to do with fat, as evidenced by the fact that it asks for lean ground beef. This is just beef for the sake of beef. Maybe a slim argument for protein. It's been 50 minutes, and the recipe says to bake for around so, or until brown and crusty, meaning this
brown and
crusty.
crusty.
Both the words moistened and crusty. Quite the accomplishment. Oh, that's crusty, all right. Now, I've only let this cool a trifle because they insist on serving it hot. Such bounties were afforded. You ready? Oh my. Admittedly, the rise is not amazing. Perhaps I should have used all the soda, but I think that's the least of my concerns. Are you ready? Oh, that's different, man. I'm just gonna do a giant slice like that because I don't play around. All right, family, recipe 1 of the beef jamboree. Face your eyes upon this loaf and tell me what you think of it. because I don't want to think much more than I
Oh
already
God,
am.
I don't either. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it.
Break this in half
Oh
so we can get
God.
some centerpiece.
Oh God. Dylan, why? Dylan, why would you eat it on Okay. I'm ready.
It looks like a granola bar with extra steps.
It does not look like a bread. I'm gonna be honest. Okay. Hokey day, here we go. Oh God, he's making the face. I knew he was gonna make the face. There was no way this was gonna be an ear perker. Oh God, I can just imagine if Dylan's not liking it.
Bad. First feature.
Bad. Agreeable. Bad. Very bad. How bad? You decide. Very bad. Quite bad. On a bad scale? Probably bad. Pretty bad.
Time to feed the booker. Drops a sack of bagels on her.
Oh, shut up.
You think you're okay, but then it hit me in the back of the throat. Cow. You know.
Yeah. I hate foods like that. Where they just hit you at the back of the throat. Because that's why your body is like...
Beef nut bread, coming to a middle school near you.
Middle schools would do that. They would. They'd be like, we need to put more protein in our children's in your children's diet, and then they would do that. Oh God. Oatmeal cookies, as long as you don't put onions in it. I mean, not onions. Raisins. Don't put raisins in oatmeal. Raisins are not a dessert. Please refer back to my statement before.
That savory, salty, slightly umami flavor from hot beef. Might be a stretch to say, I just don't think that goes with vanilla and sugar. And the walnuts just seem to be here to bear witness to this atrocity. I'm sorry, cowbells, the first one is a miss. Good morning, big dogs. How'd you sleep? Yeah, me neither. So the beef nut bread was not a success.
Yeah, me neither. I love how matter of fact Dylan is about some of this stuff. He's like, how'd you sleep? Not well? Okay.
Yes. And some of you might have seen that coming from a mile away, which means we're going to be moving on now to recipe number 2. I checked this morning to make sure the beef nut bread didn't move from where I put it last night. Just keep an eye on it for undulations. But truly, despite the jokes, and before we do move on, I do want to drive home that this video is not to purely make fun of this cookbook, right? I do believe when a recipe is written, put in a book, published, and, sold with an organization's name on it, there has to be some merit here. There might be something we're missing, and there's got to be potential. So it's not purely just for fun.
No, he's right. He's right. Like,
I don't eat dried fruit. It gives me the squirt, so raisins never get used.
I didn't need to know that. But anyways, he's right. When they're in a... If they go through the trouble to put it in the book and stuff, it had appeal. For whatever it's worth, it had appeal. How am I doing today? I'm doing great.
Explorative element to this. We're just trying desperately to find it. And find it we might with our second adventure, the beef spice cake. That's right, folks. As you can see at the top of page 86,
someone redeemed
in broad
Payn.
daylight, a beef spice
No
cake.
TTS,
we love
guys.
beef cakes around here, right? Gets me excited. But I'm not
We're
sure about this
reacting.
one, so let's take a peek at the ingredients. Right off the bat, we can tell it's going to be sweet with a cup of sugar, followed by a half cup of shortening. So there's added fat in this recipe, just like the previous bread. We have a whole cup of raisins. Wonderful. They're going to be plumpened nicely in 1 1/2.
Throw it in the trash. Dylan, throw the cookbook in the trash. They have no merit. They have no defense. I take back my previous statement. I'm unhappy with this. I'm just unhappy, okay?
Half cups of water. For the beef portion of the beef spice cake, we have a cup of cooked ground beef. Again, lean. This is different because this is calling for it to be cooked.
Calm down, chat.
The previous was raw. For spices, we have a teaspoon each of cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg, the old school trifecta, and finally a half teaspoon of salt. And you'll notice that all of this is to be put in a saucepan and boiled for 4 minutes. A veritable babbling brook of a witch's brew. When cool, we're to add
Veritable babbling brook, which is brew.
1 3/4 cups of flour, a level teaspoon of
I swear, you can take any like little segment of what Dylan
Soda,
says when he's like alliterating and stuff and turn them into tongue twisters.
We'll use the whole amount this time, and a beaten egg. Mix well and bake at 300 to 325 degrees for 1 hour. Now, isn't that peculiar?
I love cloves and nutmeg. Shut up, Alan.
I've baked tons of recipes, and I've never seen laxity assigned to the range of oven temperatures. Granted, it's essentially saying just a slow oven, but still odd for 1981. The starting
They were the sweet spices. Salt.
step in this sequence will be to cook the beef, and we'll measure it cooked. Oh, my Lanta. Hey, Dylan, what you doing with that beef? Oh, you know, just starting my cake. Also, pardon the stove. It's been permanently maimed. Nobody warned me about legit oven cleaners. Have you ever used one? That stuff will take your eyebrows off. I don't reckon we need to brown this. I think we're just cooking it. But she also doesn't say whether or not to drain it. So we have ourselves a functional dilemma. What's your stance, Captain? Do we drain it? I don't think so. I think she would have specified if so. There's truly not much. It's pretty lean. We're just going to go for it. Into the saucepan, a cup of sugar. Half a cup of shortening. Do you like Crisco's rebrand?
It's the 80s, so use of cocaine was hot. Shut up!
All retro now. I think Jello's done it as well, and it's really dapper. A big honking cup of raisins in there. Also, I picked these up the other day at the co-op. They're flame raisins. I don't know what flame raisins are. Are they good? 1.5
Aren't those spicy ravens? I mean, raisins? I said ravens. We're eating birds now, guys.
cups of water and a cup of beef. I can't get over this. A teaspoon each of cinnamon, sorry Pensies, ground cloves, which is a lot of cloves. Maybe it'll hide the beef. And nutmeg. Half teaspoon of salt, and you bring it all together. Fire! We bring this to the boil and boil it for 4 minutes. All right, it's been 4 minutes. Still looks pretty terrible. Smells very much of cloves. We need to let that cool before we move on. I'm going to preheat the oven to 325. So if you were paying attention, you may have noticed we have another dilemma ahead of us. While she tells us what temperature to bake it at, vaguely, and for how long, she does not tell us what to bake it in. A 9x13 is out because there's simply not enough batter. Our other option is a 9-inch round, but this is a single layer cake, so that would be a little bit unusual. Typically these are used for layer cakes, but we're not filling and frosting our beef cake, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint. So we're settling on a 9-inch square, which is prototypical for these cakes, right? Think of the chocolate potato cake of yore. You've got a single layer, unfrosted spice cake. Go ahead with a 9-inch or 8-inch square. It is time to assemble, so in goes our 1 3/4 cups of flour, a level teaspoon of soda, and a beaten eggy. Says to mix well. Oh, it's foaming! Oh,
oh no, it's foaming!
No!
It's foaming!
Oh, what terrors. Welcome to the Foamy Beef Express. Hold on, maybe this isn't a big enough pan. I don't think that pan's big enough. Quick, pivot! You gotta pivot on the heel, y'all. Get out of my beefcake. I didn't account for the foam. In it goes, 325 for an hour. Allow me to take this moment to thank our sponsor, you. Because you guys have been so kind and you picked up my books, Baking Yesteryear and Baking Across America, I'll never do a sponsor segment. There's no sense and I hate them, so why would I put them on you? So thank you, and let's get back to the beef. All right, cuz it's been 55 minutes and it smells done, which typically means it is done. And the smell is just cloves. Let's see what we got. Oh dear. That is dense. Appearance-wise, it looks like a fruit cake, very similar to the pork cake I made into...
It does look like a fruit cake. I don't know why it foamed, guys. I don't want to know. Let's not ask.
2020.
Look,
Let's
it's
just
all
double check.
close.
There's a lot of resistance there. Yeah, it's done. But can we get it out? You ready? Oh, let's see if we can't cut into it. It's a neat little round, isn't it? Oh, it's a bit
Jingles
rubbery,
keys.
guys.
Stop jiggling keys.
Is that beef? Recipe number 2, here we go. No. Pardon me. I'm not exaggerating, that's very, very bad. The beef is what I would call front and center, baby. I mean, not so much in flavor, but in texture for sure. Very rubbery, bouncy, and chewy, because the beef we not only cooked and boiled, but baked too. Thrice cooked beef in a cake I would not recommend, and the cloves are there, sure, but it only serves to add a medicinal quality to the cow, and you cannot seem to escape that ground beef taste. Unlike pork, which kind of melts, the pork cake was all right. This is definitively not. I'm losing a bit of faith because I fail to believe that someone has taste tested this. I'm beginning to notice that the rest of the recipes in the book have names associated with them. The names of the recipe writer. They're proud of them. Calico Beans, Barbara Norris. Skillet Spaghetti, Betty Turley. Hamburger Casserole, Arlene Barbala. The Beef Nut Bread.
This would be beyond sadistic.
Nobody. Beef spice cake. Nobody. Blank. Nobody would possibly assign their name to that. Driven into exile. Into anonymity. It's all coming into focus. But we must persevere. On to the penultimate recipe, recipe number 3. And we're going to be taking a pause from baking and moving into the realm of confectionery. That is, beef confectionery. So if you may cast your gaze over to page 81, you will see we have not one, but 2 recipes for beef fudge. I do apologize if this is...
They both have names next to them. Judged into exile, you will be.
First introduction to the existence of beef fudge. It is indeed a thing. It's absurd, and it's oft cited as one of the most WTF recipes from yesteryear.
I'm trying to remember, but I feel like I've had beef fudge. Beef fudge has like a possibility.
And we're going to be making one of
basement and only feeds us poor pies biscuits without drinks.
Exactly.
them. Pertaining to the makeup of these beefy confections, you can see that Merle Shreve's recipe for beef fudge is homemade, all from scratch, a list of ingredients and a very detailed method. Harriet Stark's recipe for beef fudge uses the recipe on the back of the tin. It's the $1 Million Fudge recipe found on the back of the marshmallow cream jar. She says to make that as per usual, but to add 1.5 cups of ground, cooked roast beef in place of nuts. I'll say that again. Roast beef in place of nuts. We've moved on from ground beef, darling. We've graduated. Now, funnily enough, the recipe for fudge is still on the back of a 7-ounce marshmallow cream jar. However, it redirects you to a website because they couldn't be bollocksed. Both this jar and the recipe in question are under the Kraft Heinz umbrella, now segmented into the subordinates Jet Puffed and Baker's Chocolate. And if we go to the website, you can see Fantasy Fudge. It used to be called $1 Million Fudge. They changed the name long ago. It's the same recipe, same lineage. And scanning the ingredients today, you can see we have 3 cups of sugar, 3/4 of a cup of butter or margarine, 2/3 of a cup of evaporated milk, 12 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate, 7 ounces of marshmallow cream, a cup of chopped walnuts, and a teaspoon of vanilla. We ought to bring that sugar, butter, and evaporated milk to a full rolling boil and cook it until it reaches 234 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we add the chocolate, marshmallow cream, stirring until melted, and finally the nuts and the vanilla. We pour that into a 9-inch pan and let it cool. But Dylan, that's a new recipe. Don't worry, I did some digging. Here's a period recipe for the Fantasy/$1 Million Fudge, and as you can see, man, it's pretty much the same. The only real differences being this asks for it to be cooked to 238 degrees Fahrenheit, and to be poured into a 13 by 9-inch pan. You know, I was about to say I cleaned this really well to get the beef flavors out, but it doesn't make a difference. Off to the races with 3 big old cups of sugar. Let's get our margarine in there, 2/3 of a cup of evaporated moo juice. And we start by cooking just this, boiling it and bringing it to the softball stage. You know, it's worth noting that this recipe can be considered a legit fudge, barring the beef, of course.
If it makes you feel better, the people who are responsible for these recipes are probably either Ash or 6 feet under.
It does not.
Because it's looking for precise temperatures and stages and all that stuff. You might remember my Velveeta fudge or the peanut butter fudge, and those fudges aren't so much fudges as they are solidified buttercream frostings, just held together by the sheer might and starches of powdered sugar. They're still good though, but this is more legit. It's so hot in here, sorry if I'm shiny. Before we fire this, let's get everything else ready so that we're prepared. 12 ounces of chalky chips coming right up. Did you know that these chocolate chips were invented specifically because of the cookie? The Toll House chocolate chip cookie came before chocolate chips were invented. These were produced just to make the cookie easier. Read all about it in Baking Across America. Let's open this up. Is it gonna pop? Take your bets. Oh, a little creamy emanation never hurt anyone. Now tell me what you think about this business with the ground cooked roast beef, because we need to get that ready too, and I trust your discerning beef fudge palates. Is there a world where they ever mean shredded roast? Or like, are they talking about roast beef, roast beef? I'm of half a mind just to chop this up now. We need 1.5 cups of the stuff. Oh my gosh, it smells like a deli up in here. In place of nuts, use roast beef. I've never heard such a thing. I've never heard such a thing in my life. I mean, what a substitution. Hey, I don't have any nuts. Can I use beef? I have a feeling this needs to be really fine. You
I want to know the thought process to win in that one.
know what? It says ground, so let's grind it. I only want us to do this once. Clear. Please be 1.5 cups. Oh, it's on the money. You know what? That bodes well. Maybe they did mean deli roast beef because that package size has not changed in a while, which means the only thing we have left for the mise en place is Nilla. Let's go! Now, as this comes to the boil, I should tell you that I decided to go with the old school recipes instruction as far as pan size is concerned, and I'm going to be using a 13x9. I've already put a parchment sling in there. The new recipe says a 9-inch square. It's just the difference between thick and thin fudge. But I am using the new recipes instruction for temperature. It says 234, the old says 238. You never know if they've changed the temperature because they've changed the ingredients in the marshmallow cream, and I don't want any scorching. Boy, if you thought baking was the only thing to change with altitude, you'd be wrong, because confectionery and candy changes with elevation as well. And that's all because of air pressure, baby. Technically, this asks for 234 degrees Fahrenheit, but at my altitude of 7,200 feet, that's going to be closer to 220 degrees Fahrenheit. It's about a 2 degree Fahrenheit reduction per 1,000 feet gained in elevation, and that's just because of air pressure. It is relentless. And it looks like we're just about there. Again, if we were to take this to this softball stage, which is assuming we're at sea level, it would actively be too high. We're looking for 220, or if we were following the old recipe that's asking for 238, we would be looking for 224. But you're probably not as high as me. All right, I'm gonna call it. Let's throw in the chips and the marshmallow cream. Oh, that looks good, doesn't it? Too bad, in goes the beef. This is terrible. Don't forget about the Nilla. All right, let's pour this out. Oh. Great work, everyone. And we just need to let that
Great
cool
work,
completely.
everyone.
Good morrow, sports fans. Are you ready for some beef fudge?
Good morrow, sports fans.
How about that for a chocolate patio? Admittedly, I was worried it wasn't going to set because it was rather thin when we poured it out, wasn't it? But it took a long time to cool down, and it's fairly solid now. I do not, however, think we can lift this straight out by the parchment. Maybe that's why they changed it to a 9-inch square, to make it, easier to come out as a block. I suppose
like
a good
a Taco
old-fashioned
Bell
test
toilet in
wouldn't
a
hurt.
dish.
3, 2, 1, go! Ah! Beef fudge. I shall cut this straight down the middle like a maniac. Okay, folks, what do we think? It's a fudge. I can't see any beef here from the exterior. It's got a nice crackly top. It is a bit soft, but I mean, 234 is a degree below what most would consider softball stage, even at sea level, so maybe they just want a soft fudge. Just make sure to cool it down. Don't have a hot kitchen. We need to taste it, don't we?
Yeah.
How bizarre. I can't say I registered the beef. All right, I'm not going so far as to say that beef improves the flavor of any fudge out there, but the flavor profile of roast beef seems to fairly match that of the chocolate. I'm not explaining it well, but that curve is kind of analogous. Oh my God. I would eat this. And I don't know what that says about me. It's not because...
I'm trying to think. What would that mean? Because that would mean that beef, at least shredded beef, somehow profiles into it when cooking it. I guess because of how thin it is, maybe it cooks straight down into a binding fat. Maybe. And roast beef isn't nearly as strong as lean beef in terms of flavor. So maybe, it's an experiment to be had for sure.
Beef somehow makes a superior fudge. It's because the flavor of the beef seems to be driven into exile. Perhaps that speaks well to the magic of chocolate over any...
Yeah, chocolate kind of... The little fun fact, chocolate can overpower a lot of things. Some things it just can't overpower, but like for whatever reason, it's not really, I don't know if anyone's ever like fully explained it, but Somehow chocolate can kind of just overpower certain flavors.
Else, or that it's just been heated
Yeah,
so
cocoa is
hot
strong.
that the deli notes are gone. 1.5 cups of roast beef in a fudge, and I'm not in peril. Folks, can we consider this a marginal success? 1 success out of 4?
I would consider that a success. If you can't taste the beef, and it tastes like a decent fudge, I feel like that's a success.
Thus far, and I mean, if you want to add some protein to your...
The issue here is people like me, I would probably taste the beef.
It's like what he said in a prior short, either chocolate fixes everything or this is alchemy.
Yeah. But here's the issue. People like me, who have what anime has portrayed as the god tongue, we taste exactly the ingredients inside of a dish. Do I taste the beef? If I taste the beef, it's a failure either way. But I say, like, for people that don't have, like, as delicate as a tongue as me, I would say it's a success.
Fudge, you have my dubious seal of approval. Wow. Alrighty, honored guests, all hands on deck because we've reached our grand finale, the final recipe we're going to be doing in the Sheridan County Cowbells All Beef Cookbook. And you say, Dylan, what might that be?
I'm actually a really good cook. I do stupid stuff. I do ADHD brain forgetty stuff sometimes. But not with cooking. I go by the book, by the letter. I think the one mess up I've had so far is I slightly cooked my brownies too much. And no one told me. And I only realized after I ate a few of them that I was like, something's wrong with them. I still don't understand what. And then I looked up online, like, this. And it was like, you cooked them just too long. You didn't cook them too long. You cooked them like maybe a few minutes over long.
Well,
so now I pay
86
attention to that.
beneath our fallen honored foe, the beef spice cake, you'll see a recipe that we're not going to be doing for no-bake chocolate beef cookies.
Brownies turned into charcoal.
You can see the recipe in question.
Actually, it wasn't charcoal. It was just a little hard. Harder than I wanted it to be. Because I wanted it to be firm. I didn't want it to be hard. It ended up being kind of hard. Like, it was between firm and hard.
Hard? Oh my Tilda.
Oh God, shut up.
Beef sugar plums. Oh yeah. Yes, I'm afraid it so appears at present that the storied Victorian confection of yore, the sugar plum, seems to have an all-American beef brethren. And you say, Dylan, what is a sugar plum? Well, historically, it was either a fruit, a nut, a seed, or a spice coated over and over again in a sugar syrup that would be colored. That syrup would harden to form little balls of very festive hard candies. My compatriot Max Miller actually made a video where he laboriously manufactured his own sugar plums, and I suppose now it's our time to shine with beef sugar plums. The ingredients are as follows: 1 tablespoon of butter, 1 cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of...
It's already failed. I see the raisins. It's failed. It's a failure. Throw it away, Dylan. Throw it away.
brandy flavoring. There's no hooch in that house. A cup of chopped walnuts, a cup of cooked ground beef. Again, they want us to cook the beef before we throw it in there. 1 1/2 cups of graham cracker crumbs, a medium apple, and a cup of raisins chopped. And if we are to see what lies in our future, we're to melt the butter in a saucepan. Add the cooked beef, raisins, and apple and brown sugar. Now that part is basically just making mincemeat with meat. Cook that over low heat until mixture becomes thick. Got it. Add nuts and cool. Okay, then add the brandy. Work in graham cracker crumbs and form into small balls. All right, so I mean, this is basically like a protein ball recipe, minus the protein and peanut butter and stuff. We roll those balls in powdered sugar after balls are cold. And store in covered container in refrigerator. Improves with age. You know, I doubt that. Let's get ourselves started
I doubt
with
that
some graham
highly.
cracker crumbs. We need 1 1/2 cups. Let's see where this gets us. Just like that. Now, you know me, I don't recommend a lot of kitchen appliances. I'm of the mind that you can do a lot on manpower alone. You simply don't need them. However, a food processor is one of those great things that you never realized you needed until you get one. Like I say, it's a blender that doesn't complain. All right, we have our 1 1/2 cups of graham cracker crumbs ready, and I'm going to empty this out and shove an apple in there because the apple needs to be ground. And I'm going to immediately contradict myself because this is a great tool too. 3, 2, 1. I think that'll be stellar. We're using a Granny Smith apple, and I mean, this is going to brown a little bit in the meantime, but it'll only be cosmetic. On to the walnuts. I love walnuts. Chopping walnuts for beef sugar plums. I have this theory that people who say they don't like walnuts are really just accustomed to bad and off and rancid walnuts, because I don't know about y'all, but I've been getting a lot of bad walnuts recently from the store. I mean, within date, I bought a bag the other day, and it was rancid from the get-go. I was like, what's wrong with people and their packaging of nuts? Look at that, I'm an absolute pro, right on the money. Raisin time. Now, whilst we're here, it's worth explaining, piercing through some of the recipe fog, some clarification. Whenever you see 1 cup of chopped walnuts, no punctuation. That means you measure chopped walnuts to equal 1 cup. However, when you see 1 cup of raisins, comma, chopped, you're to measure a cup of raisins and then chop them after. It's a bit daft, isn't it? But that's just the way it be. And I will
I get that because of the comma. It's like, get this first, comma, then chop it.
Because when you put raisins in a food processor, just like figs and dates, it kind of just turns into a hard paste. And there we have it. Can I confer with you?
All I'm saying is, after eating so much German chocolate, I like macadamia. Macadamia nuts are amazing.
The recipe says to melt butter in a saucepan and then add
Didn't used to like nuts with chocolate.
I'm very lazy. I don't like to do that many dishes. Might you allow me the liberty to cook the beef in the saucepan and then simply add the butter after? Now, this is not lean beef, so I may drain this a bit once it's cooked. Here goes nothing. But you know, for a moment, my mind glazed over the ridiculousness of this. I'm going to drain this so as to not anger the beef council. That's not the right way to make the beef sugar plums. You're supposed to drain it. All right, and now we add in a tablespoon of butter. Once that's melted, add the raisins, apple, and our cup of brown sugar. And again, we're essentially just making a mincemeat here. I mean, it even kind of looks like mincemeat. We're just using ground beef instead of suet. The apples have released their water, so it's fairly liquid. As far as using cow products in desserts is concerned, this recipe so far is the truest form of them all. I mean, it even smells good. I won't lie, though I really am resisting the urge to put in some cinnamon and nutmeg and stuff. It is a troubled mincemeat, and look, it's just starting to get thick. Okay, I am calling it now, so in goes the walnuts. We're gonna do a little mixy-mixy-do and let it cool. Let's get this in here so you can see. Lovely jubbly. We'll be using a teaspoon of the finest rum on the planet, the export of my home country of Bermuda. And finally, for this stage, the cracker crumbs.
Bermuda,
Whether or not this will form a
Bermuda.
ball remains to be seen, so hold your breath. Oh, it's looking good, Captain. Let's take a test. We'll use a cookie scoop to portion. All right. Woohoo! If we go by smell alone, I have the most faith in this recipe because even though it didn't taste it, the beef fudge had that deli smell about it. I found that rolling these with wet hands makes this a whole lot easier. I mean, some of these are just going to be raggedy, but even the best of us all.
I have to say, though, at least for me, smell does equate to taste. Even like when it shouldn't, it does.
Sometimes. They are absolutely old-fashioned looking.
But that's just my tongue at work.
Do they? And the penultimate step is just to chill these down. As for the rest of the recipes in the Baking with Beef chapter, let me admit to you that they're not all as outlandish as the recipes I've picked for us to do today. Take, for example, page 84 and 85, where you'll find
Am I okay with using raw egg whites? I feel like everything has a place. I don't know about that.
Not 2, but 3 recipes for suet pudding, a dessert that you'd expect to find bits of the cow in. One of these suet puddings the cowboys apparently used to call son of a gun in a sack. I like that. There's also a great hors d'oeuvre-y looking beef and cheese bread that has a yeast risen dough, shredded Swiss cheese, and thinly sliced smoked beef. I'm down with that. But they are now ready to rock and roll. Just coat these around. I'd hazard to say they look like a snowball. Quite welcoming, lest you know what lies beneath. Behold the beef sugar plums and weep. And I mean, they held together, they rolled well, and they look rather festive. Cheers.
No. That ear perked up. That ear perked
That's
up.
lovely. The top notes I'm picking up on are raisin and apple. I can taste the rum or the brandy if you choose so. There's a chew from the nuts. It looks good. What a strange day. Wow, they are mincemeat protein balls. Emphasis on the meat,
cast
sure.
your
And
bagels taste
if
like
you don't
beef.
believe me, and I know some of you don't, you've got the recipe. Whip up a batch and see for yourself. I'm quite certain that you'd like them. Okay, perhaps certain's a strong word. The texture, no, not the texture. There's a resistance, a bounce to this that is...
That's what I was about to say. I was like, what
everything
about the
else
bounce
is straightened up
that
and flying
beef
around.
gives
Even
it?
the flavor, the apples and the raisins and the brown sugar seems to have taken the beef in and allowed it to shine. It's rather harmonious, not hidden like the beef was in the beef fudge, but the beef here is incognito. I can't quite believe I'm sat here in front of you defending a beef sugar plum, but I appear to be doing just that. And I hope you're not calling my mental fortitude and constitution into question, because if you...
Dylan, this is the one of the few times where I will. Are you okay? Blink if you need help.
You tasted one of these, you'd know exactly what I mean. It's an old-fashioned scratch dessert. It tastes like mincemeat, but it seems to get a pass to use beef in dessert. Would they taste better without the beef? High chance, yes. What have we learned today with this beautiful
The ancient gay boy.
array
Yes,
of one
you're
of a
right,
kind
Jeff.
recipes?
Ancient gay
I'd
boy.
like to know your take, but I'll offer you my stance. I think if you're trying to get more people to eat more beef, you should tell them to make more hamburgers. Because this was quite the roller coaster. The bread and the spice cake were disturbing. I'm just telling it how it is. The beef fudge, well, I don't know what happened there. The chocolate's a hell of a thing. And the beef sugar plums, which by all rights appear to stand proudly on their beefy merits. Boy, I'd sure like to know if you folks have any advice or inputs on how we might improve any of these recipes, barring removing the beef entirely, of course. I'd like to know if you've tried any of these, if you have any beefy stories, or if you're planning on trying any of these. But above all, I'd like to thank you so much for sticking around this long. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.
Beans might actually make it better.
They come and go, the ones I know.
They do.
They
Beans do
say
tend to
me,
improve stuff somehow.
You're a fool to be standing here all alone.
His Not So Brother. I've watched his Not So Brother. I love his Not So Brother. Well, that was Dylan. Give him a like and a follow.
Boka is 67 centimeters tall.
Shut the frick up! And this was me. Give me a like and follow if you feel like it. Not that I hear anything. Smoke bomb.